Hey guys, it's Wednesday and it is the week before Halloween Horror Nights starts, which means I am here with my tips video for Halloween Horror Nights 28. I've got my shirt in commemoration of Vamp 85. I am ready to go. So I asked you guys to send me questions on Instagram and Twitter, and a bunch of you did. So I'm going to answer your questions in this video. I'm also going to give my strategy for stay and scream or general admission to get the most out of your nights attending Halloween Horror Nights. So let's go ahead and jump into it because I know there's a lot to talk about today. Okay, so before I go into answering questions, let's go ahead and discuss stay and scream versus general admission into the park. Stay and scream is an opportunity that's available to annual pass holders or people who are in the parks during the day prior to Halloween Horror Nights. So in order to attend Stay and Scream, you have to have valid park admission for the day plus a Halloween Horror Nights ticket. You also have to already be in the park before 5 p.m. and that is a hard line. If you arrive at 5:01, you're gonna have to wait outside the gates with everyone else to do general admission. So you have to be inside the park before they close the park at 5 p.m. And what Stay and Scream does is it gives you the opportunity to stay in the park while it transitions from being normal day operations into Halloween Horror Nights. There's about 45 minutes to an hour that it takes them to get everybody out of the park who's not supposed to be there anymore, all the people who are still on rides, to get them out, and they'll set up any scare zones that they need to set up, and usually around 5:45 or 6, they will release the holding pens and you get to enter the park a little bit earlier than general admission. So this can be a big benefit if you are an annual pass holder or if you're planning to be in the parks before Halloween Horror Nights, because you get a little bit of a head start and you can usually get 1 or 2 houses done before they let the general admission guests inside. So this next section is going to be a little bit of educated guessing because there hasn't been an official announcement on where the Stay and Scream zones are going to be this year. But typically in the past, I believe there have been 4. There's been, in recent years, Hello Kitty, Finnegan's, Diagon Alley, and Simpsons. And those are the 4 holding pen areas that you can wait around, enjoy, socialize with everybody, waiting before they release you into the park. Now each one of those 4 zones is going to have a different house that they release to. You don't just get free reign of the park. They will basically guide you into a line for a specific house. So again, I just want to say for this part, there's been no announcements. So I'm not sure that there's going to be 4 holding pens. I'm not sure that they're going to be in the same locations as always. And I also don't know for sure that this is where they're going to release. However, with a little bit of scientific educated guessing, I have done some research, and based on what times the houses open, because that's usually your indicator of which houses are going to be the Stay and Scream houses, my assumption is that Hello Kitty is going to go to Stranger Things, Finnegan's is going to start at Poltergeist, Diagon Alley will be going to one of the tent houses, I assume, so that would either be Blumhouse or I think Slaughterhouse Cinema. And in the Simpsons area, I'm not sure if it's going to start at Trick or Treat, Seeds of Extinction, or Dead Exposure. Those are all those back houses. Honestly, I didn't put as much work into the research on that one because I'm not going to recommend you go to that one. So we'll get more into that later, but that would not be my recommendation for a Stay and Scream. I would not recommend Simpsons. So the 2 that are most important that most people care about are Hello Kitty and Finnegan's, and based on my research, I believe that Hello Kitty is going to Stranger Things and Finnegan's going to Poltergeist. So one of the reasons why I don't recommend the Simpsons holding area is that on the first 2 weekends of the event, it is, as far as I am aware, commandeered for the annual pass holder parties, which are the Friday and Saturday night events. For the first 2 weekends, they have basically a special annual pass holder entrance, and annual pass holders can get in early, and annual pass holders get first access to those back houses. I haven't done that party in probably 4 years, maybe 5 years, because it very quickly lost its value to me because you're standing out in the middle of the hot sun, a ton of people went to it. It was going to houses that typically had shorter waits anyway, so I didn't see the value in it. Do not take this as gospel. Someone can correct me down below if I am wrong about this. Then I believe the annual pass holders take over the Simpsons area. If they don't take it over, then they at least get a head start before you do. And there goes your whole benefit. So I would not recommend Simpsons holding area. Just know if you are a pass holder, you can take advantage of that. You do have to RSVP. You only get one night to do that. You can do it if you want to. It's not my cup of tea. I will say the nice thing about that, if you are an annual pass holder and you have a friend who is not an annual pass holder and they do not plan on buying a day ticket, you can get them into the event. You can get one friend into the event early that night. So it's a nice perk if you have someone that isn't an annual pass holder, isn't going to have a day ticket, and you want to get them in. That's pretty much the only perk as far as I'm concerned at this point. So with that said, in my opinion, if you're doing Stay and Scream, you really have two areas to pick from if you want to get the most bang for your buck in one night, and that's either going to be Hello Kitty or Finnegan's. And which one is better, it's hard to judge this early. I think it's safe to assume that Stranger Things is going to be the most popular house at this year's event. So strategy-wise, it might make the most sense to do Hello Kitty because then you get to do Stranger Things first. You're some of the first people through the house, and then you at most probably have a 30-minute wait as opposed to probably that 2 hours, maybe even worse than that later in the night. So if you're there to see Stranger Things and you don't have Express, I would recommend doing Hello Kitty holding area. That is, if it's going to Stranger Things. We'll find out opening night for sure if that's true, but obviously that's not gonna help you guys in advance. So if it's true, Hello Kitty is gonna be your best bet at getting into Stranger Things with the shortest wait. As we saw with American Horror Story 2 years ago, it can still be a 30-minute wait. You might still be waiting because there's that many people who know that that's what they need to do. But it's better than a 3-hour wait. So if you choose Finnegan's, it looks like we'll be going to Poltergeist first because it's the only other house in that area that's opening as early as Stranger Things. That holding pen will all go into Poltergeist. Now what happens at this point is both of those holding pens have gone to two houses that are relatively close to each other, and you're all gonna be dumping out at the same time. And that means quite a few people from Stranger Things will probably push into Poltergeist next because Poltergeist will already be open. As a Poltergeist person, you're gonna have to decide, do you want to go to Stranger Things and wait? It could already be a very long wait depending on how many people were in Stay and Scream and if they've already opened the gates. Or do you choose to do one of the other two front houses that might not be open quite yet? So if you're new to the event, they do stagger the way the houses open. They don't all open at the same time. And right at the beginning, you can kind of get into a rush trying to get to houses that aren't actually open yet. As of right now, I think my strategy is going to be to start with Finnegan's and do Poltergeist, Scary Tales, and then Carnival, and just come back to Stranger Things at the end of the night. However, I might get there and pull an audible and go to Hello Kitty, just depending on how efficient it all seems to be running. In theory, Hello Kitty holding pen should get you the most amount of houses done in the shortest amount of time, which you should be able to do 4 houses definitely within the first hour. I think it's safe to say definitely within the first hour that you could do 4 houses in that front space. And at that point for Stay and Screamers, you pretty much have 2 options. You can either head around the back of the park and go toward London and Blumhouse and work your way back forward, or you can cut back through and head right into probably the sea of people who are walking in at this point and go back around through Hollywood and work the event that way. The only catch to that is I don't think that Halloween will be open yet because Halloween has one of the latest opening time. So that would be my caveat, is just know that if you're gonna go that route, that Halloween might not be open yet, depending on how long you took to go through those first 4 houses up front, because it has the latest opening time. So the tent houses and the 2 parade building houses in the back will definitely be open by that point, but Halloween might not be. So if you guys have any more specific questions about strategy, you can leave them down below. I will give you guys personal advice as I can, but that's my general advice for 2018. As for general admission, you've basically got 2 options when you come in. One, it depends on what time they let you in. If they let you in at 6, which sometimes they do, much to the dismay of all the Stay and Screamers who needed that extra head start, sometimes they let you in early, and in that case, you've got some options. You can head straight towards Despicable Me and check and see what Stranger Things is. You can see how bad it was from all the Stay and Screamers. However, my recommendation, if you are a general admission, is to not go straight for Stranger Things, because that's what everyone is going to do. Again, I'm saying this before I have seen the event, so I don't know that the pattern will stay true to every other year, but that's generally the idea. I do think Stranger Things is going to be consistently long, but very beginning of the event is going to be its worst. So if I were a general admission person, I would take one of two options. Basically, you walk in and you either make a hard right and go toward the tent slash parade houses in like the ETA area, or I would keep heading straight, skip over Stranger Things, and go to say, Poltergeist, Scary Tales, or Carnival, depending on what's open by the time you get in. I believe Halloween's opening time is going to be about 7 p.m. So even for general admission, I don't think that's going to be open for you yet, so you're just gonna need to bypass that and go towards the tent. Either way, if you're general admission, just know that there's a bunch of people who are already in Stay and Scream holding pens who have a head start on you. So the majority of the houses will have waits. However, these are probably going to be some of the shortest waits you see all night. So take advantage. If you see Poltergeist at 10 minutes, go to Poltergeist. If Stranger Things says 20, they're probably lying to you, but you could try it if you want to. But typically the shortest waits of the night are going to be right at the beginning and right at the end. So take advantage of a short wait if you see it. So one of the questions I got multiple times was, if we only have one night to attend Halloween Horror Nights, is it possible to see everything without Express? Typically, in years past, I would have said yes, but the event is getting more and more popular, and with Stranger Things this year, I just don't know if that's going to be possible, especially with 10 houses. In theory, 10 houses should spread out crowds, right? But we only have one show this year. We normally had 2. So the 10th house is serving as kind of the crowd draw that the second show would have given us. So I just don't know if it's going to be possible to see everything in one night. Last year, it got to the point where with 9 houses, I'm not sure that we hit all 9 houses once last year. Now granted, every once in a while we find a house that we are okay skipping, like last year with Saw. Most times we just skipped it. I feel like it's going to be very difficult to see everything in one night without Express. I'll answer this 2 ways. If you have the extra funds to get Express and you only have one night, then I say go for it. You're gonna have a great experience. You're not gonna have to wait in nearly as many lines. You'll have more time to spend in scare zones. I just hit myself in the face. You'll have more time to spend in scare zones, which is of course one of my favorite parts of the event. You'll be able to just savor the event a little bit more because you won't be in a rush to just get in line and wait for each experience. So if you have the funds, then by all means do the Express. You get one entrance into every house using Express, and you'll have more time to see the show and do the scare zone. Also, if you are coming specifically for Stranger Things and you only have one night, you might want to consider the Express, because otherwise you might spend the majority of your night waiting in Stranger Things and not get to see anything else. However, if you don't have the extra funds and you only have one night, my suggestion is to, 1, either do Stay and Scream so that you can get the extra time, or if you can't invest the extra funds in doing Stay and Scream, then I would say make sure you are there early. Be one of the first people waiting at the gate to go in, so you're one of the first people in the park. Do not get there late, and prioritize which houses mean the most to you. Kind of have a list in your mind of the ones you definitely want to see. Get the app so you can check wait times. There is a Universal Studios app which normally has the house wait times on it, and be prepared to zigzag. So if you're at a house that has a 30-minute wait, you do it, you come out, the next house has a 2-hour wait, don't go in the 2-hour line. Look at your app, find another house that has a shorter wait, and zigzag, which is why we end up walking 10 miles per night. Because sometimes you just have to be willing to do that to get the maximum amount out of your night. If houses are your priority, then I wouldn't try to go see the show, because the show will usually eat 30 to 40 minutes, and eat fast. Grab a turkey leg, eat in line. So now I'm going to go into some questions that you guys sent. We have, are there options to buy drinks and food in all the Stay and Scream areas? This one varies depending on location. So Finnegan's has a full restaurant, however, you have to be there really early if you want to see it, because otherwise everyone has the same idea. But they do have the full bar that is walk up, and there's an Annie Ann's location that you can access from inside the holding pen. So you've got pretzels. And they also last year had a cart that was selling pizza and soda, water, your essentials. Hello Kitty, I did not go to it at all last year. However, 2 years ago, they had like a standard drink cart where you could get, I think, like beer, water, soda, that kind of stuff. As far as I remember, there was no food available at that cart, but you can always buy food right before the park closes and come in with it into the holding pen. Simpsons obviously has their food court there. I assume the food court is still running, but again, I've never done that holding pen. And then Diagon Alley obviously has restaurants and everything too. So everyone has food, but I would say Hello Kitty is the least prepared as far as that goes. I know we have to change the online ticket. Can we do that at the hotel too, or only at will call points? So this is if you've already purchased your ticket online, you do have to exchange your receipt for an actual hard copy ticket. And the answer is yes, you can do this in the hotels. If you've already purchased your Halloween Horror Nights ticket and you just need to redeem it, they will do this for you at the Universal hotels. I have done it the past 2 years. Cabana Bay even has a kiosk. You don't even have to talk to a person. You can just walk up to the kiosk and the kiosk will do it for you just like you're at will call. I did it at Sapphire Falls. I just went to the kind of guest relations table and they did it for me. So every hotel is equipped for that. The only catch I will say is if you need to upgrade your ticket or do anything like that, I'm not sure that they're able to do that, but they are able to just exchange and give you the hard pass ticket you need to get in. So this is a great one and an important one we need to talk about, and that is, what is the best tips for how to handle the changes in weather? So I believe I discussed this in my previous tips video, but let's just have a crash course reminder in Florida. So obviously we go to Halloween Horror Nights in September. However, I did live in Orlando before, so I know kind of the range of what happens during Halloween Horror Nights. And we can run the gamut. We can run from the fact that you feel like you were standing on the surface of the sun melting to freezing cold in that 6-week, 7-week period of time of Halloween Horror Nights. So if you're going at the very beginning of the event like us, there are 2 things you need to prepare for, and that is 1, sweltering heat and humidity, and rain. September is definitely still summer in Florida. It is going to be ungodly humid. You're going to sweat a ton prior to the sun setting. Stay and Scream is usually just a sweat fest. We're all just dying trying to find shade. Once the sun sets, you stop feeling like you're frying. However, the humidity actually increases at nighttime. So I found myself last year sweating to death until the sun set. I'd get about 2 hours of comfortable and then the humidity would kick in and I'd be sweating again come around 10 p.m. So be prepared for heat. Be prepared to hydrate yourself. Drink lots of water because even though it's dark, it is hot in Florida and you're gonna sweat at dawn. So dress accordingly. Don't wear this. Like, I'm wearing this shirt in this video because I am in air conditioning. I could never actually wear this shirt to Halloween Horror Nights in September. You guys have seen my vlogs from Halloween Horror Nights. If you haven't, shameless plug. I'm wearing sleeveless shirts in every single one of those vlogs. I'm wearing shorts. I'm wearing comfortable shoes. I am prepared for the heat. Now, over the entire course of the run, you need to worry about rain because it's Florida. And it rains pretty much every day until winter. My advice, I just bought a raincoat specifically for Halloween Horror Nights because I can't remember a year that I've attended Halloween Horror Nights where it hasn't rained on me at least once. A legit raincoat that's nice and thin so you don't sweat to death while wearing it is clutch, and that's what I just purchased. The past 2 years I've had a poncho with me. We'll still bring the poncho because every once in a while there's a torrential downpour and nothing can save you except for a poncho. Highly recommend a poncho, highly recommend a raincoat. Be prepared, watch your weather forecast, and just know that there is a high probability that it's going to not just sprinkle, but downpour. And when that happens, they have to close down the scare zones, which makes me really sad, but at least you'll be prepared in your poncho. That said, I would not recommend an umbrella. People bring them, but in these lines, you are in very close quarters in switchbacks where you're, you know, there's not much personal space between you and the person in the line on the other side. So once umbrellas get involved, it just gets dangerous. There's really not enough space in the lines to have an umbrella. Also, I had a terrifying experience holding an umbrella during Halloween Horror Nights 2012, where lightning struck the lagoon at Universal, and I was holding my umbrella. I was like, nope, I'm just getting soaked. And then I just stood there soaked, waiting to go in Penn and Teller because lightning struck while we were standing there, and I was standing in a giant puddle going, these are my life choices. Cool. It can also get very chilly later in the event, so I highly recommend layers because sometimes it'll still be 75, 80 when you first get there and then drop to like 50, or maybe even, I've been there on the nights where it was in the 40s and windy. So layers, layers, layers. That's how you survive in Florida in the cold. All right, so I think that's all from Instagram. So now let's go to Twitter. So this is kind of an addendum to the question I answered earlier, but Amanda wants to know realistically, how many houses can 2 first-timers get through in one night with or without Express Pass? So with Express Pass, I want to say you'll be able to do all 10. I can't guarantee that, especially if you're first-timers and you might get lost along the way. But in general, I would think with an Express Pass that you should have no problem getting through all 10 houses in one night. We'll see, but in theory, that shouldn't be a problem. Without Express, if you come in focused with a plan, prioritized houses, I would say safe bet you could hit 7, maybe more than that if you luck out. But just saying, as a first timer, you're not gonna know the layout quite as well as those of us that have been there every year. So I feel like you might have a little harder time navigating the park, and it might be a little more overwhelming to you. You might need more breaks. I feel like that might be the most realistic number for one night first timers. Sarah wants to know if the Stay and Scream areas ever fill up in advance. Like I said earlier, you have to be inside the park by 5, but once you're in, you've got a little more flexibility. They'll eventually usher you into Stay and Scream, or you can go Stay and Scream right away if you're trying to get in close to the bar. Earlier is better for you. That said, I have never seen a Stay and Scream area hit capacity. The only one I could really see that happening in is Hello Kitty, because it is a smaller location compared to Finnegan's, which is a pretty big area. Diagon Alley, obviously huge. Simpsons area, pretty big. The only one I could see that happening with is Hello Kitty. And if it's gonna happen, this would be the year, because Stranger Things. I think people kind of filter themselves out as it is, especially with the draw of Finnegan's because of the bar and the restaurant. So it's probably not a problem, but if you're really worried about it, just head straight to the holding pen. So it should be noted as far as that goes that they don't really open the holding pens until 5, so you don't have to worry about getting there at like 4 or something to try to get a spot. Just mosey your way in sometime after 5 and you're fine. John wants to know how many Twisted Taters are going to be eaten, and I would say multiples this year because Mike and Jeff are going to be with me, and Mike cannot resist a Twisted Tater, so definitely happening. Ashley wants to know my most comfortable shoe tips for Halloween Horror Night. This is an important one, and it's one that I don't think everyone thinks about before they come, but I will say it again. We typically walk 10 miles per night of Halloween Horror Nights. It's a lot of walking. These queues are not your normal attraction queues. They're usually in backstage areas. You have to walk pretty far backstage to get to the queues, to get to the houses. And then once you get back there, you still have to do all the switchbacks. If you remember my videos from last year, the dang Shining queue was like a 15-minute walk just itself. I personally, in my older years, have graduated to only wearing actual quality sneakers. In my younger days, I used to wear flip-flops, and I'll just put that out there right now. Do not recommend for a multitude of reasons, but the majority being there's a ton of people at this event. A lot of them are drunk. You're gonna get stomped on, and it's not a good idea to be wearing flip-flops, or you're gonna trip, or something's gonna happen. So I highly recommend actually wearing closed-toed shoes no matter what you choose. Personally, I wear my actual running shoes to Halloween Horror Nights. I've got an older pair that have been retired from running, but they're still very comfortable. They've got arch support, and I mean, it's as if I'm actually doing a workout because it's a lot of walking. Your feet will thank you later. They're still gonna hurt no matter what. Trust me, when we do those like 4 nights in a row in the past, by Sunday, we are in so much pain. You never seen the vlogs because we're having so much fun, but by like night 3 and night 4, when we've been there in a row, we are in pain. We are in literal pain. Our feet are killing us because you stand so much too. It's no pain, no gain. You forget about it once you get back home because you have all the memories, but it is painful at times, so just preparing you. So this was actually from a previous video a while back that someone commented, and I did want to put this out there because in the past I have recommended for houses like Stranger Things, go get in line at the end of the night, and that you might have a better chance of seeing what you want to see. So always, you know, jump in line right at the end of the night. So Sergio said, just remember, if you're choosing to go to a house at the very end of the night, that you might not see a full house full of actors, because once they push past a certain time, they're not required to stay. So they will ask the actors to extend and stay until the line is clear. However, not every actor is going to say yes to that. So you might go through a house that has a lot of holes and nothing happening in it, and then you'll get like 2 actors who decided to stay. And that's just, I mean, you know, with a house like American Horror Story, where they were still having over an hour wait at the end of the night. Some actor, you know, they have to go. Some of these people have 2 jobs. This isn't their only job, and they're scheduled to work until 1:30, and they're not prepared to work until 2:30. So it does happen. Just keep that in mind if you're going to a house right at the end. You might need to do it a second time to get a full impression of it. So while I have said save Stranger Things to the end, I might not suggest that if it's going to be your only night, if that's the house you came for it. I don't know when to tell you to go to it, but the end might not be the best if you want to see every single actor that's supposed to be in the house. And this is another question that was on a former video of mine that I answered personally, but I wanted to bring it up in here, and that is, when is the best time to go to Halloween Horror Nights? The beginning, the middle, the end of the event? When? You guys know we're always there at the beginning of the event, and this is for 2 reasons really. One, or maybe 3 reasons. One, it's a good time of my current job for me to take off, whereas later in the run is not. 2, typically the beginning of the run has the shortest wait, so the least amount of crowds. Now don't get me wrong, it's not drastic anymore. It's not a huge difference between the first 2 weeks and the middle, but it's enough that keeps me coming back. And 3, they offer the Rush of Fear Pass, which is good for the first 3 weekends, so it's just a really good deal for us coming in. We'll get 2 weekends out of that pass, and it's the most economical for us. There's also a debate between which is better to be there at the beginning or the end as far as houses. In the beginning, the houses aren't always finished. Sometimes they add stuff to it that people who come later in the event get to see that I won't get to see. But on the flip side of that, the beginning of the event, all the actors are there. No one has quit yet. The end of the event, a lot of people have quit. A lot of the new people come in, they don't realize how physical, how intense, how tough it can be, and sometimes they quit. So, or they get injured, or they get sick, or something happens. So later in the run, you'll have more holes. Also later in the run, people start to destroy the houses because we can't have nice things. At least at the beginning of the run, it's generally what they intended it to be. Later in the run, you'll see like people rip off wallpaper, people break sets, they're animals. Also later in the run, you get more crowds, but you also get better weather. So really, it's all personal preference. About 1 week of time where they call it Hell Week, and that is the worst possible time to go, and that's usually the 3rd or 4th week of October. It's just insane. It'll actually sell out, so I don't recommend that week. But aside from that, it's just personal preference whether you like the beginning or the end. So I think the last thing I wanted to discuss for this video is the food and dining situation. I think you guys can tell from our vlogs that we basically hit every restaurant in Universal over the course of the time we're there, because we are there for 6 nights, and because we're trying to get the most out of our night, we don't typically like to leave and go into City Walk. That is an option to you. If you have multiple nights and you don't mind spending some time out of the park, you are allowed to go out to City Walk and come back in. I believe they'll stamp your hand or they'll do something to let you back in, but you are allowed to leave and come back in. That is an option. But I will say this, check out the seasonal items, check out the seasonal booths. Usually they come out with specialty drinks. Like last year there was a candy corn milkshake thing and a s'mores milkshake thing. And they'll also have food carts, probably up where Vamp 85 is going to be, that have some interesting items like twisted taters. They had a churro dog a couple years ago. Just weird items up there. There's funnel cake, that kind of stuff up there. You never know what you're gonna find in that area. Sometimes they have some really delicious items. Last year, which I think they confirmed they're back, maybe I'm making that up, but there were pizza fries. Keep your eye out for the booths, because the booths usually have the more interesting food, the temporary items. But all the restaurants will be open as far as I know. Maybe not the ones in Diagon Alley, I'm not sure. But your main restaurants are open during Halloween Horror Nights, so there's plenty of food to choose from. And it is nice to get a little AC break and dine once the lines have started to amp up. You can always take a restaurant break and then get back out there once you've had a little bit of time off your feet. Okay, so I think I have covered all of the questions that you guys sent in to me. I think I've discussed the strategy and stay and scream locations. I am willing to continue helping you guys and giving you advice. So if I didn't cover something that you still need to know, leave me a comment down below. I will talk to you directly. I am more than willing to help you guys out, help you have a really good first time experience at Halloween Horror Nights or a repeat time at Halloween Horror Nights. I'm always willing to share my knowledge and help everybody else. So feel free to leave those down below. We'll have a chat one-on-one. So that's it. That's my last time talking Halloween Horror Nights with you before I am there in person. Again, I hope to see you guys in the fog. I have excellent news in that pretty much everyone I know that I am friends with that are scare actors who audition have gotten callbacks. They're all back. So there'll be plenty of familiar personalities coming up in the vlogs, and I'm super excited to be back there. I know they're all jazzed to be scaring again. I've been getting a lot of messages this week and it's making my little horror heart very happy. So thanks for following along with the Halloween Horror Nights 28 news with me, and I will be back with Halloween Horror Nights vlog.